everyone's obviously got their own passions, and when you do find that passion you like, you'll know you're doing the right thing.
G'day and welcome to Sinbun Passion Files. My name is Sinnamon, and today my guest is a young grazier and he's also my brother. His name is Henry. Henry and I grew up on a cattle property north of Jackson, which is in southwestern Queensland in Australia. And out there we had the whole world to ourselves, as it seemed. It was amazing. It was an amazing way to grow up, and yeah, I guess from my perspective I could see with Henry that he had an amazing interest and passion for the animals, particularly the cattle. He could just look at them all day, study their behaviours, knowing where they move to in the paddock, their sort of grazing patterns, all that sort of stuff that you kind of just don't really think about if you're not there. But yeah, he knew it down to a T. He just loves the animals, loves getting to know them on a personal level, and I guess that's one of the big reasons why he is doing so well for himself. He's only so young, yet he's developing a name for himself within the industry, and he's creating an amazing herd of cattle which people can look at and potentially see a real correlation between his passion and the actual end product. So yeah, he's an incredible guy, and obviously I love him very much. So enjoy getting to know my little brother, Henry Sinnamon.
So I grew up on a farm here out of Jackson in southwestern Queensland. Grew a passion for the beef industry pretty quick. Obviously a couple of generations out here at Jackson of beef producers, and yeah, fell in love with it pretty early at a young age. I think just being around it every day, living and breathing it, so you sort of just end up having a go, and then you fall in love with it like everyone else before has. Obviously early on it was just all animals. You just love being around the animals, and as I've gotten older since finishing school, you realise how important the business side of it is. It's not all just sunshine and rainbows. There's a lot goes into it all, and that's also part of the challenge, and I guess you get addicted to it. It's like a big gamble, high risk, high reward sort of industry, so you fall in love with the game, I guess. You can't really guarantee where you're going to be this time next year financially, I guess. That's why you always plan for the worst and then hope for the best. And obviously the consumer side of it all, the way we're going nowadays, it's fairly driven by the market and the people eating the end product. Got to keep the demand up for our product, and that's pretty important. That's run by the government and people high up. It's their job to carry that end of it. Growing up around them, obviously got to learn how cattle operate and how they think. I have had experience with sheep. Worked on a sheep station in New Zealand. I just think cattle, they're more individuals. They are herd animals, but they're not such followers. They're each individuals, and you know, they're pretty smart in their ways. It's more of a challenge in regards to breaking them down. They're a lot bigger than you, so you can't just go in there and push them around. And obviously sheep, pretty easy to manoeuvre around, like with their shearing, and you just do what you want with them. But cattle, they're bigger than you, and they can hurt you a lot easier than you can hurt them. So yeah, just you sort of step into a yard with a mob of cattle, and you just think, you know, you're the outnumbered one here. They're a lot stronger than you, whether it's just you know, getting bumped by a small calf or getting kicked by a cow. You soon learn that yeah, they're pretty powerful. Obviously plenty of people like being by themselves and plenty of time for themselves out here on the land, which is why a lot of people do fall in love with it, I guess. And it's a pretty, well, it does have its stresses. It's normally not involving anyone else, which, you know, it's a way of life, I guess. And yeah, a lot of people do enjoy getting out on the weekends and socialising. Sport's definitely probably the biggest one. A lot of tennis and cricket, which are multi-age sort of sports. Anyone can play it. It's a good way to mix with people, not only your own age, but people older than you who are generally the better people to learn off and have a conversation with. So yeah, most young people out here play sport. Yeah, just important for people to get out there and be able to communicate with people about whether struggling, or also, you know, it doesn't hurt for someone to sort of almost brag about something, like have a bit of self pride and be happy about what they've done. When you're obviously breaking in show cattle, teaching them to lead, it's an experience of its own. Like training a horse or training a dog, you break down that animal's walls and build a friendship with them on a personal level, and then you sort of see them every day. And yeah, just taking pride in your product, in your animal. You know, getting your first sort of show cattle going back when I was sort of only 12 years old was a big thing, and nowadays I'm sort of growing my cattle hobby into more of a business, which has also been a big step. You get into a stage now where you're actually in the game rather than just a bystander, like people you used to look up to, and now you're competitors, and that's sort of a good feeling. That's when you know you're doing something right. And yeah, you always just got to have goals, always thinking a couple of years ahead. It's sort of an industry where you don't really get reward straight away. You're always looking to the future, which can have its ups and downs. Like you can get bored. You know, you got one day a year where you might have a bull sale or a show, and you're always looking forward to that day. But yeah, you just got to find happiness in those other days through being ready and the challenge, and looking forward to that, having a good crack at that goal. Got a couple of idols that I really have looked up to just in the cattle industry. A couple I've never met, and a couple that I've had a lot of interaction with, I guess you'd say. You got your battlers. There's men out there that work their way to the top from nothing. You know, started out young like me, wasn't born into the stud cattle industry, and they just yeah, their passion took them all the way to the top. Sort of, you know, took their whole lifetime, but they got there. And then there's also people who were born into a good, successful stud cattle operation, but they, you know, they had to learn how to be just as good as their father and grandfather before them, which would have been hard as well. Big shoes to fill. So yeah, just I guess success in the industry, as well as behind the scenes, like sort of people that sort of take the time to help the next generation and that sort of stuff. Yeah, they're the people that I've always looked up to anyway. Plenty of passion and plenty of an addiction there, so I think it will take some beating. Obviously in the agriculture industry you got to be careful. And I think you find a lot of the more successful people have always had enough farm income. Obviously, I just finished an online course for agribusiness, so whether I try and set up some sort of business for a side income, just to be careful, not to put all my eggs in one basket. But I think the passion is there, and yeah, it'll take something else pretty big to steer me off the path of the stud cattle. 10 years time, I'd like to probably have my own block of land, obviously just somewhere to call my own, and you know, have my own dogs and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, with the stud side of it, yeah, I'd like to probably be selling more bulls at auction, which has been a goal for a long time, and I think I'm about to tick off my first auction bulls this year in 2019. So in 10 years time I'd probably like to still be doing that, and yeah, start getting more recognition for my own brand of cattle, and my own yeah, my own I guess put my own stamp on the industry somehow. I know it's only 10 years away, but you know, it'd be good to be pretty well known for doing something right in the beef cattle industry.
Well, there you have it, Henry Sinnamon. What a man. I'm super proud of the person he's become, and obviously just really glad that he's out there chasing his dreams and pursuing his passion so actively. So yeah, really awesome, and yeah, I learned a lot even as his older brother. So if you'd like to listen to the full unedited chat that I had with Henry, feel free to check out the link in the description. You can go ahead and give that a gander. Otherwise, yeah, while you're down there in the description, feel free to check out Henry's Facebook page, Kalkine Brangus. That's where he posts updates to do with his cattle and his herd. Yeah, really interesting, particularly if you have an interest in beef cattle production. I think it'd be really cool if you could have a look at that. And otherwise, I'd just really appreciate a like on this video, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment down below if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll be talking to you and seeing you soon. Cheers.